If your vision is impaired, your perspective is impaired, right? So the way we see things, if I'm seeing you through my difficulties, then I have a lens. It's going to be like a lens over me that I see it through some other way of seeing it because my perspective is different than yours. And if I use God's perspective, he has the pure lens, right? His is clear. He has the truth. But is that making sense? Because he just says your lens, God's lens. That's what he just told me. Your lens and my lens is what he said. So what it is and I've always been one to say our perspective changes the more we get to know God. And the more we get into the Word, the way we see things, there we go, see things changes. Because the root of what we've been living, like if you're reared in one way, that way of living and that way of thinking and doing is the way your family did or the way you were brought up. You carry that with you into the world, into others people's worlds. And so what we do is we seem to judge or evaluate them by our standard, not God's standards. Does that make sense? So as we get better and we start to transform our minds by the renewing of our minds, our way of believing and thinking starts to begin to line up to God's way of thinking and doing. Remember, the kingdom of God, to me, that's the way I see it, is God's way of thinking and doing. I think it makes it easier. His way of thinking and doing, not mine, not anybody else's. Look at what God's way is. And then so what it happens is as we can see through God's lenses, even though it may look one way to us literally in the now, we have to believe that what God says is really true, so we have to speak that forth and use that lens. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. To me, that was really a learning thing to me to realize my perspective was incorrect. My paradigm, have you ever heard that word? My paradigm had to shift. In the 70s or something, there was a book called out A Paradigm Shift. And what it had to do is that we grew up, it's like playing games. If you have games, they have rules. The games have rules to them, right? And you got to play within the rules. Well, that would be your paradigm for that game. So if you played another game and you took those same rules over there, they're not going to work. Okay? And the way the book had in there, it transformed my life, really, when I read the book, because I'm a reader. But what it did is it was talking about how somebody went into the depths of the ocean. And as you go into the depths of the ocean, do you think there's any life there? Yeah. You have to bring light down there. It's dark. It's dark. So what happens is when they go down in there, they had divers seeing cans that had like a Coke can. Their mind literally put the color in there because they knew that's a Coke can. Isn't that amazing? And that changed. Wait a minute. Their mind knows what that's supposed to look like. So that's what it looks like. Doesn't mean you can't go down there with light and shine light on that, because they do with the things. They bring the light down there to shine it out. But when they did that, they said that there was no color where that guy went, and he was able to see the Coke can, knew it was a Coke can, and knew the colors. So I thought that was interesting. So what it did to me, I guess I'm supposed to share this, was I was in a relationship that I couldn't see somebody was changing. I'd been extremely abused and stuff when I grew up and all that. So my perspective is when certain people do certain things, I'm expecting a certain result. Okay, and what I had to realize is sometimes they may be, even if they change. Other people change. I'm not the only one that changes, right? So I had to learn a lesson. Other people can change as well. So how do I know? I have to trust God, because their comments and their statements and the way they're acting seems the same. It's like he gave me an example. God gave me an example. If I was given a box and I opened it up, and it has, it's beautiful, right? And I opened it up, and this certain gift was in there. Then I thought, wow, that's my gift. Or if it was a bad gift, go, oh, man, I don't want that. Okay? So if I get another box later on, it looks the same. The wrappers are all the same. What do you think I'm going to think?
Something bad inside.
That bad thing is in that box. So when I met a person that had these characteristics, I'm going to think, okay, and the Lord said, not true. I need you to open the box, Carmen. And I'm going, I don't like that box. I don't want to open that box. I've been there, and I know what that box has in it. And God says, nope, this one doesn't have that. I've gotten a person into your life who does not do that. Oh, really? Is there such a person? You're telling, but that's my background. And so when I did open the box, I was able to say, that's not the same. They seem to appear the same. So that's why you have to have God's thing. Does that make sense? It was really a life-changing thing. These things are life-changing for me, because I was so ingrained. And so it started to allow me to say, okay, Lord, then I switched to the thing, God, help me to see them as you see them. That was a real change in praying. Help me to see, and then that's what brought me into work with emotional behavior disordered high school kids. Let me see in them something that I can start to deal with here, because everything I'm seeing is not good. And that's what got them where they are. They might have been in jail, and they have all kinds of stuff. So I'd say, let me see in them what you see. And that little by little, now it doesn't happen overnight, didn't for me, maybe it will for you. He does amazing things pretty quickly sometimes. But sometimes you just have to start with a different perspective. Your 20/20 glasses, vision. Your vision needs to change. Plank in your eye, right? Do you see how it's related? Ask the Lord, help me to see in them what you do. And if a person's starting to change, like Ed would say, I'm doing so and so, and I couldn't see it, and I couldn't see it, it took years for me to see it because I had to learn another thing. People speak way past where they are. People will speak how wonderful they are, what they do, their accomplishments, and all this. And if you just believe only their words, you're going to get, I'm just telling you from experience, because I used to grow up believing what I was taught. You listen to what I say. You listen to what I'm telling you, not what I'm doing. I didn't know that then. I was first my family saved. So I had to learn, wait a minute. If you're only listening to what they're saying, you're going to get a wrong example of them. You really have to watch what they're doing. And that's what the word says. You know them by their fruit. Watch what people do. And I had to realize, because I believe what they say, and what they did is they put themselves above and in a place where they weren't. Does that make sense? People will speak further. It is their desire. It is what they want to be, but it's not who they are. So that was a real big lesson for me. So what's neat is that perspective means ask the Lord and start to get his perspective. And I just had to do it by faith and say, I'm just going to trust you on this, Lord. Because if you tell me to do it, I'm just going to trust it. And that's where trust, why it says, and my faith comes in because I believe what he says the word is. But until I would say I act on it by faith, then I'm really just not believing. Just believing. I'm not really having faith. And that's why faith pleases God, because that's what transforms it. Okay? So that makes it a huge difference there.
Judge not, lest you be judged.
Great question. A number of years ago, I did a series called The Most, where just to have a lot of fun, I went through